And in business news, the transmission company of Nigeria says it has successfully restored the national power grid following its collapse at 4:28 p.m. on Thursday. TCN, in a statement earlier today, said the grid attained full recovery by 10 p.m. on the same day. The report adds that a co-electricity distribution company earlier today was able to receive minimal power supply from the grid to put power Agbara, Ojo, Akangba, Aja, Lekki and Alagbon transmission stations on supply. Spokesperson of the TCN, Indi Mba, says the TCN believes that power supply will be restored to optimal normalcy as the grid restoration continues. She added that report from the National Control Center in Osogbo added that the system disturbance was triggered by a significant reduction in generation capacity, primarily due to gas constraints. TVC News reported on Thursday and earlier today that major cities including Lagos and Abuja were thrown into darkness following the collapse of the national grid. The International Energy Agency says in a report that national grid in Nigeria collapsed 46 times in 2017 to 2023. The report adds that Nigerians endured more nationwide blackouts in 2023, especially in September 14, when the grid collapsed due to a fire on the major transmission line. Meanwhile, the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, has assured Nigerians that current power problems would be fixed and over in the next 3 to 6 months. Staying with power, the Minister of Power and Mr. Adebayo Adelabu again has affirmed federal government's commitment to gradually offset the debt owed Nigeria's largest power generation company, Egbe Power, starting from April this year, while noting that constraints of gas supply and foreign exchange are also being tackled. This was made known during the minister's visit to the power plant as part of its strategic measures to strengthen an understanding among stakeholders, offer robust support to players and address the challenges in the sector, with the overall aim of boosting power supply in Nigeria. While speaking on challenges of gas supply, the minister explained that engagements were held with the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and gas suppliers as part of measures to guarantee payment of the debt and resolutions for gas constraint. For Chief Executive Officer of the plant, Mr. Mukhtar Brunner, he affirms that the firm is losing huge revenue to current gas shortage, which is threatening power generation nationwide. He added that the generating company had not been able to run the plant to full capacity due to low gas supply, reducing the capacity of 1,000 megawatts to 400 megawatts at the moment.
We know that forex sourcing has been a major constraint to effective maintenance and sustaining of the facility. Once I have seen what we have on ground here and the critical need for spares and tools for continuous maintenance, we'll be able to liaise with Central Bank of Nigeria to prioritize FX allocation to the power sector. This will ensure that we're able to ramp up capacity in terms of generating output. It's not just specific to or peculiar to in the power plant. It is across all the generating plants. They need forex for them to be able to maintain the turbines and then replace the tools and the spares. This has been a major issue. I'm going to take a step to ensure I liaise with the foreign exchange authority, the Central Bank of Nigeria, to see how they can prioritize this allocation.
The major challenges right now that we are facing are the gas availability. We don't have enough gas to run the full capacity of the plant, and this is, we are losing a lot of revenues. We are investing a lot in getting this unit. This is a 40 years old plant, requires a lot of efforts, a lot of investment to keep the units running and safe. And if you don't generate, you will have, big imbalance.
Nigerians have been urged to remain patient with the policies of the federal government as well as the Central Bank of Nigeria, as their policies targeted at cleaning up the economy to attract investors locally and internationally. These and more form part of conversation at the March 2024 Breakfast Network Forum, which held in Lagos with focus on taming inflation and high exchange rates with built environment under the country. Now, under the Nigerian South Africa Chamber of Commerce, the Special Advisor on Economic Affairs, Office of the Vice President, Mr. Temitope Fashua, says middlemen are responsible for the continued rise in food prices, which is fueling inflation in the country, thereby creating artificial shortages of essential commodities for profiteering.
On the basket, indeed, of goods that are surveyed by MBS Bureau for Statistics every month, food is a major item on it, and therefore there will be a skew. Because indeed, it's a case of take it or leave it. People must eat. And indeed, you'll probably also find out that the farmers are not the ones making the money. Rather, it's the middlemen who buy from them. So, however, the good thing is that we're now getting more information, more data in terms of what's going on in that space. And with recent events, including the strengthening of the Naira, chances are that perhaps we'll be able to get inflation to start trending down.
What we keep advocating is this. There must be a mechanism where a certain portion of the crude that is produced in Nigeria is dedicated to local refining. Outside of that, this crude oil that will be given to local refineries, first and foremost, must be sold in Naira.
We're very particular about the role that maintenance can play in helping our economy out of the current doldrums. We all know what inflation is saying, high cost of doing business, high cost of the foreign exchange, etc. And working as members of, bringing together this strong panel that you have seen, we prefer solutions that would help our businesses, that would help the nation and help the economy.
And wrapping up business, the stock market has witnessed another round of interest in securities by investors. Effiong Gekop has a review of the market for the week. We'll be back with football tonight.
The stock market closed the week Thursday in the positive territory as the government declared Friday as public holiday for Easter. The index of the market on Thursday rose by 0.27% to stress gains on investments. Pharmaceutical company Morrison recorded the highest percentage of 10 following investors' renewed interest in the stock. Others in the gaining bracket were Ikeja Hotel, Julius Berger, Omatek Computers, and UPD Crate. On the downside of trades were FCN Cocoa, ABC Transport, Guinea Insurance, NGX Group, and Jumps. Some coded companies have published their full-year financial report for 2023. This weekend, we look at two big companies, MTN Nigeria and Dangote Cement. We start with MTN Nigeria, which told the stock market community that it made 2.47 trillion naira revenue in 2023. The performance of the telecoms firm was better than the 2.01 trillion naira of 2022, raising revenue by 22.7%. To Dangote Cement now, which reported 2.2 trillion naira revenue. The revenue target of the company grew by 36.4% as against 1.62 trillion naira of the previous year. Effiong Gekop, TVC News, Lagos.